When the first breach closed, it cut off the world's access to soulstones, which plunged the nations of Earth into a global war. These Black Powder Wars were devastating for everyone, but an organization known as the Guild of Mercantilers was able to take advantage of the chaos and come out the victor. Over the decades that have passed, they've grown to become the world's economic powerhouse, who have their hands in all aspects of politics and economics. The organization is structured like a military, but there's many bureaucracies that oversee different aspects of the Guild's operations. At the very top appears to be the Magister, and from the outside it looks like this individual is in charge of everything. The Magister appears to be advised by the Minerva Council, but in reality this council actually holds all the power. The Magister is really just a figurehead, and the Minerva Council is comprised of different groups, including bankers, nobles, and mages. Each individual on the council can draw some relation to the original founders of the guild, and all three of these blocks tend to vote together to set the actual policies of the guild. Underneath them is the Office of Western Diplomacy and the Office of Eastern Diplomacy. Each of these offices is headed by a Secretary General, and they're responsible for maintaining control in their respective hemispheres of Earth. They work with diplomats and spies to monitor and influence the nations of the world, and one of the most important ways that they do that is by controlling the flow of soulstones. The Secretary Generals will allocate their shares of soulstones to their different constituent nations, and then work with the Soulstone Commission, who tracks and monitors every single gem. Anyone who fails to return one on time, or refuses to give them back when they fall into the guild's disfavor, is dealt with harshly. If the nation has a powerful military, the guild will sponsor their neighbors and revolutionaries within to undermine the government's power. But if the nation is weak, then the Secretary General will contact the Lieutenant General, who will take more direct action and invade the country and overturn their leadership. The Lieutenant General is in charge of all the guild's armed forces and answers directly to the Secretary Generals. They recruit and train soldiers all over the world, but their biggest concentration is in Breachtown, protecting the portal to Malifaux. When the Lieutenant General is sent on a military campaign, they retain full control, which allows them to act decisively and in an efficient manner. The Lieutenant General has a large staff who answers to them and carries out their will, which is required due to the complicated nature of running an organization that spans the globe. The Soulstone Commission is responsible for mining, processing, and distributing soulstones. They're also in charge of recharging soulstones after they've been depleted, and they've been known to sit at the bedsides of sick patients in hospitals, waiting for individuals to die so they can harvest their soul. As a result, they've acquired a haunting reputation among the people, even other members of the guild. Some of these individuals have even been known to help people along in the process of dying, and while that's strictly against the guild's policy, they often go unpunished. The Mercantile Commission is in charge of the rest of the economic activity of the guild. Over half the world's trade goes through the Mercantile Commission in one way or another. They're the biggest branch of the guild, and their economic activity is what finances the guild's armies. The Mercantile Commission distributes a catalog over 600 pages long with products that can be ordered and delivered to any location. They also manipulate the world's currencies and force embargoes against disfavored nations, sometimes going as far as to sponsor pirates, or pushing the Lieutenant General to attack directly. They were also responsible for creating the guild script and implementing its use around Malifaux City. Now, the guild script has made its way back Earthside and is on its way to becoming a global currency. The Viceroy is in charge of Breachtown on Earth. It's heavily fortified to resist invasion from the denizens of Malifaux, but also to stop other nations of the world from trying to seize control. While their job is of paramount importance, many of the soldiers on duty there, in practice, actually act more as customs agents. The many trains that travel to and from Malifaux have to have their cargo and passengers inspected before they can pass through the breach, which is quite the undertaking. In spite of their efforts, there are still many ways to successfully smuggle through the breach. The Office of the Governor General is a unique station within the guild, and is responsible for overseeing all the operations in Malifaux. Their primary goal there is the harvesting of soulstones, but in order to do that, they have to keep a tight grip on the city. Their operations are constantly in danger from necromancers, mages, and the Neverborn, so the Governor General has started the special divisions to combat these threats. Corruption is rampant, and the guild's guards have been known to take bribes and abuse the people of the city. But they take pains to keep the publicity positive, to encourage people from Earth to come over as homesteaders without knowing what danger really awaits them. Each of the special divisions operate independently and have a lot of leeway in tackling their objectives. They technically have power over the guild guard, but are encouraged to go through the proper channels to request personnel, as the guard has been known to be quite spiteful. Sometimes the different divisions will even team up to form strike teams when the threat they're going after is sufficiently dangerous. The special divisions consist of the following. The Nephilim Hunters, headed by Perdita Ortega, are in charge of hunting and killing the native denizens of Malifaux, who if left to their own devices would prey on the human population. The Witch Hunters, headed by Sonia Crid, who are in charge of cracking down on magic users within the city, and are known for their brutal tactics. The Death Marshals, headed by Lady Justice, who use their own special brand of necromancy to combat the other necromancers who threaten the city. The Elite Division, headed by Lucius Matheson, the most secretive of the special divisions, which was founded to oversee the Guild's judiciary, but has become more of a Black Ops unit. The Public Relations Department, headed by Leonardo Benetton, which is in charge of distributing Guild propaganda through newspapers and etherbox broadcasts, and cracking down on any unauthorized use of those mediums. And finally, the Amalgamation Office, headed by Charles Hoffman, which was started to combat the illegal practice of melding metal with flesh, but now mostly works to maintain the Guild's fleet of constructs. The Guild Guard is not technically a special division, and was originally a military unit called the Resettlement Corps that was sent to retake Malifaux City. It was soon transitioned into more of a police force, which made many of its soldiers unhappy, and they abandoned their jobs in droves. The Guild scrambled to rehire, but the low wages they offered meant that the average Guild Guard had to do side work and was susceptible to bribes. If a crime is committed, the amount of effort that they'll put into investigating depends on the status of the victim and their willingness to grease a few palms. And that's it for the overall structure of the Guild, both Earthside and in Malifaux. Lots of cool stuff, so drop a comment below and let me know what your favorite department within the Guild is. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out all the important links in the description below, and consider supporting the Patreon because my patrons help me decide what topics to cover in videos like this. With that, I want to send a huge thank you to the extremely cool kids here on Patreon, the Steam Power Scoundrels, Dogmatize, and Devin, and thanks for watching.